Hey there, friends. I saw a meme earlier this week that had the main guy, the villain from Silence of the Lambs, standing there, and it said, "If I hurt your feelings, I have some thicker skin for you upstairs." You might need that today. Somebody's going to have their feelings hurt. I guarantee it. The Giffords organization. This is the one by Gabby Giffords when she was shot in the head. You'll remember it kind of turned her into a vegetable. And I don't mean that to be ugly. I'm actually describing her in the medical sense of the term vegetable. That when she got shot, she can barely function as a human being now. Again, not belittling her. The sad thing is her husband, Mark Kelly Giffords, has paraded her out and made her kind of a symbol of gun control, if you will. He's made a lot of money off of her. Again, she's not aware of what she's doing. She's honestly not. She's always paraded around by him, pushed into a room by him. She barely can speak, so she is given a couple of words to say. The main thing is she is literally a meat puppet for Mark Kelly Giffords and the gun control movement and enterprise. Their Twitter account, based on lies, of course, shows an Everytown post that again repeats the lie of firearms being the leading cause of death for American children. You guys will remember we have debunked that hundreds of times, even though all these officials continue to repeat the exact same lie. They're talking about children that includes people 18, 19, and 20 years old. So again, when you base your main message on a complete lie, it's maybe more disappointing to me that there's so many people stupid enough to believe that than the fact that these people are lying about it. But regardless, this organization is known for lying. They're trying to do something now that's very similar to Kamala Harris. You know, Kamala Harris is now trying to assume all the policies of Donald Trump. Now she's against illegal immigration. Now she's going to be strong on the border. Now she recognizes we have a bad economy, even though she's been in there for 3.5 years and she wants to correct that. The gun control group is doing the same thing. Now they're pretending to be gun people. Check this out.
I'm a hunter and I am a gun owner.
I've been around guns since I was little.
And we have a voice too.
I've watched as gun owners have been ignored. I've watched as they've been dismissed.
It's time to speak up and do something about it.
As responsible gun owners,
we want to ensure the safety of others, to make sure that my community is safe, that my family is safe.
And we want to see common sense measures passed into law.
A lot of these practices are things we already do.
We know what's safe. We know what's responsible.
And so we can prevent gun violence
while also supporting the Second Amendment.
Enough is enough. We know that there are concrete steps we can take to reduce gun violence.
This isn't a partisan issue. It's a bipartisan issue.
We're so polarized, but we don't have to be.
That's not the United States I want.
And it's our voices that are going to create legislation
to end the gun violence epidemic in our country.
If you're sick and tired of the radicalization,
gun owners need to speak up. We should be the loudest voices in the room.
Because we have skin in the game.
And so I'm going to do everything I can in my power to speak out.
Because we can make a difference.
Okay, so what do the professionals say in a situation like this? There's a lot to unpack here. Boy, is there a lot to unpack. Okay, first of all, when you tell me that you're a hunter, you're a gun owner, and you've been around guns since you were a little kid, that's no different than me saying I like to walk on the beach, I like to swim, I like to paint a little bit, I like to sing, I like to whistle, I like to walk down the street in the middle of the night. It's just things you like to do. It doesn't define you as a person. The fact that I might like to paint doesn't make me an artist, right? I'm not the guy that you're going to call whenever you want somebody to represent the art community, correct? Just because I like to paint. Stating those things doesn't make you, doesn't identify you as an expert. It doesn't identify you as a legitimate part of any group. It just means you like a very small thing that a lot of other people, millions of people in fact, across this country like. It doesn't mean that you have the same voice as we do, who are true gun advocates, right? This guy claims he's been around guns his whole life. For all I know, he was raised by his mom and his 3 sisters, and he's been around dildos his entire life. Does that make him somehow or another somebody that you call as an expert witness or an expert to speak on behalf of dildo owners across the entire country? No, it doesn't qualify him anymore as a dildo owner as it would be for a gun owner. So this chick with the Elvira hair says that she's been ignored and she's been dismissed. You know, if she were an actual gun owner and a gun rights advocate, we're not being ignored. We're not being dismissed. We're actually a pretty strong voice. I'm talking about all of us. Those of you watching this video, myself, we've been very vocal advocates. So if Elvira is being ignored and dismissed, it's because she's allowing that to happen. And again, maybe because she's sitting at the kids' table still when it comes to gun rights. She's not sitting with the adults yet. But the main thing that I want to point out in this is so typical. This is the party of inclusion. You know one thing that they don't, as Democrats, because they're all voting Democrats, one thing that they don't have in their video that they don't even notice? This is the party of diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is the party of forced hiring quotas, right? Did you notice that their video wasn't really colorful? Did you notice that? I know they didn't notice that, but I noticed that. In this video, there were 243 different white people in this video. There were 9 black people who popped up. In fact, 2 of the black people who popped up was supposed to be, it looks like a dad and his daughter. It looked like stock footage that these people had paid for. Once again, Democrats are still paying for black people, apparently. And one of the black guys was a cop. So 2 of them aren't even some of their paid actors. It's just somebody that they accidentally got with the cop in the video, and then 2 people that they paid for from stock footage that anybody can buy online. So technically, they only had 6 people, and if you notice, some of those 6 were the props that they put behind them to show that black people are part of their whole movement, when in fact, in many cases, they're not. Now, they are defending indirectly black people, and I'll get more into that here in a minute, but those people are not part of their movement. They're not inclusive of those people. They don't include them. I spent a couple weeks ago at the GOA function up in Knoxville, Tennessee, and there was so many people of all kinds of different races. I was on a panel on a stage with 7 people, maybe 9, something like that. It was an odd number of people. And 2 of the gentlemen on there were black guys. The gun industry is inherently inclusive of all different races, not just black people, but all different races. And the Democrats trying to hijack the movement of gun people can't even recognize it and do it right because they omit black people. And according to these anti-gun Democrats, black people aren't the only black scary thing that they omitted from this video. Notice there are no AR-15s. There are just over and under shotguns. No semi-automatic guns whatsoever. Not pistols that shoot semi-automatic, no AR-15s, not even bolt-action rifles. There are only over and under shotguns in this entire video for people who claim to be gun owners. That's not by mistake. They did this on purpose. They wanted to make sure that they distance themselves from any kind of support for anything semi-automatic. Again, I expected to not see AR-15s in here. But the fact that they omitted everything from a revolver to a semi-auto handgun to even a semi-auto shotgun shows me that their goal, this was a conscious effort by them. Their goal was to make sure that we did not tie any kind of alliance or any kind of allegiance to any kind of semi-auto, because their ultimate goal is to ban all semi-autos, not just AR-15s. That's the first step. That's the first pinprick. Once they accomplish that, obviously they're going to 9mm handguns, because that is the thing that actually does the most damage across this country as far as gang banging and people shooting at each other. Now, when we say, quote, we want to ensure the safety of others, that means something way different between this group of gun owners and that group of gun owners. Let me explain that a little bit more. When they say that they want to ensure safety, they're not talking about their community. They say that in this video. They want to make sure their community is safe and that their family is safe. Yes, they say that. But they don't mean it like we mean it. They mean they want to limit guns. They mean they want to ban guns because in their mind, their idea of gun safety is to eliminate the existence of firearms. Therefore, everybody's safe. No guns, nobody can be hurt by guns, right? Too stupid, too ignorant to realize that now all the criminals have the guns and you have disarmed all the law-abiding people. By contrast, when we say we want to ensure the safety of others and we want to make sure our community is safe and that our family is safe, you know what we mean, right? We mean somebody tries to climb in my door or my window to do myself or my family harm, there's consequences. When they say it, talk about gun safety, talk about protecting their families' lives, they're simply talking about locking guns away and taking guns away. We talk about using those guns to create a safe environment. There is a very big difference between that phrase, between our group and that group. They are not the same as us. And I gotta point out our boy Ryan Bucy, or Bucy, however you want to say his name. I find it ironic that his last name is spelled almost has the word bus in it when it should have train. For all the trains that have been pulled on this guy since he left the gun industry, Ryan Bucy used to be part of Kimber. Ryan Bucy talks about how he revamped Kimber and made them the success they are today. They made a lot of crappy guns when Ryan was there, honestly, and I'm sorry, Kimber. Kimber had really good quality guns back in the day. They went to crap. Then they started making, they make some really remarkable revolvers today. You got to check those out. I don't get paid by those guys. I just really like their revolvers. So Kimber has rebounded since Ryan left the country. They didn't get good while he was there. They went to crap while he was there. To show you how proud Ryan is of his involvement in this video, because he gets paid handsomely. This guy's one of the biggest carpetbaggers ever. He left the firearms industry and went over as like Mr. Grifter himself, went to the anti-gun movement, and supposedly that makes him an expert in the field because it came from the gun industry. Somehow or another, whenever you flip-flop and go to the enemy, that makes you an expert to them. I don't understand how that works, but nevertheless, this guy is considered to be a very valuable asset to the anti-gun community. He puts his face in this thing. He talks about things in here that he knows are not true. He talks about common sense and all that BS, all the things that he would have been against whenever he was cashing a paycheck with Kimber. Then somebody else offered him more money on the anti-gun side. Now he's there. You know what Ryan's doing right now? Ryan is campaigning to be governor of the great state of Montana. You know what's really odd when you go to Ryan's website? He is trying to fool the people of Montana. And if you people vote for him, you are as stupid as I think you might be if you decide to vote for him, and you get what you deserve. This guy on his front page has a picture of he and a gun. Again, it's not a semi-automatic. He made sure of that. I guess Giffords would not write him a check if he was carrying a semi-auto. Not only does he have that, but if you look in his list of things that he supports, his platform, he talks about his Kimber days. Throughout the website, he always makes reference to his gun days. Like that's a good thing, even though he escaped Kimber, according to him, and went into the anti-gun side because he just couldn't live with himself anymore being on the pro-gun side, right? But yet he's running on the pro-gun platform, his previous life, on his campaign website. You know what there's not a single mention of on old Ryan Bucy's website to be governor of the great state of Montana? Not one mention of his affiliation and the checks he's cashing from the Giffords anti-gun movement. Not one mention of it. You tell me why that is. Why would somebody who in their current life that they're so very proud of, because they put that evil life behind them, why would they not mention the wonderful things they are doing to make the world a better and safer place to live today, like working for the Giffords anti-gun movement? Why would they omit that from their website where they want people to get to know them and learn about them, and only mention the evil past that he had? That'd be like somebody working in porn and running for governor and not talking about the fact that they were a deacon in a church now, not mentioning that they're a deacon in a church, talking about how they were a producer in the porn industry back in the day. Why would you mention that and not this? If this is the great thing you're doing and that's not, why is that your focus and not this? It's because he's trying to fool the people of Montana into thinking that he is a pro-gun guy. He's lying to the people of Montana. People of Montana, if you vote for this guy, you get what you deserve. Folks, I know we're speaking in a vacuum right here. I know that every one of you out there thinks the same way I do about these kind of grifters. These people try to assume a different identity to try to get other people to go, oh, really? They must speak for all gun owners when they see that. Because look, these types of videos are not playing anywhere that we would be, right? We stumble across this kind of stuff accidentally. But they're already catering to this group of anti-gun people. So that's who sees this. So that's who they're trying to convince that, well, you know, I'm all about guns and this and that. And it might be the independents and people in the middle that they're trying to pull onto their side also. And again, let's not forget, it's all about money for them. They truly don't talk about safety. All this talk about safety and all their omission of black people, they talk about safety in the communities, but where the actual crime is taking place in the black communities, and yes, it is. This is not me. People love to call me racist because they absolutely hate facts and statistics. You have the same equal access to Google that I have. Punch in a couple of letters and hit the enter button. Look at the same stuff we all are looking at. These people are talking about gun safety and completely ignoring the lack of fathers and the lack of mentors in the black community, where guess what? 90% of this epidemic of gun violence takes place. It's a statistical fact. In fact, I run the numbers every single month on the Gun Violence Archive's mass shooting numbers to show you where all of these problems exist. 90% of them are in the black communities at 2 a.m. down at the tennis court, people slinging dope, getting mad at each other, and shooting at each other. Nobody's talking about that in this video. They're talking about keeping communities safer. That tells me where they don't live, because they sure ain't keeping those communities safer. They worried about theirs. They ain't worried about them other ones. So they're ignoring the actual problem. They're not promoting any real gun safety. They're simply promoting gun bans and confiscation in many cases. These people saying that they are like us is not correct and certainly not accurate. It's no different than a pedophile saying, we're the same because we both like kids. Trust me, we are not the same. We do not like in the same ways. And we are certainly not gun owners in the same way that these people are gun owners.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.